so today we're talking to SRT Warriors. He is the OG of the OG, the creator of the SRT Warriors page, the one and only SRT Warriors. So how you doing today?
Doing fine. It could be better. Unfortunately, the Steelers and Yankees lost today, so I'll probably have a shit fit on this podcast sooner or later. So we'll see. But other than that, how's your day going?
I can't complain. Just another nice sunny day in Chicago. We only have a few of those left before it turns into winter, and it's going to be rough. So I hope that it's going to be a good winter this year and not just pummel us with snow. But I think you're out on the East Coast?
Yeah, I'm actually out in New York City.
Fun.
Yeah. Just a lot of people.
Oh,
just
man.
A lot of people. Big city environment, so.
Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, you usually get sick of it once in a while because just I guess the crowded atmosphere and just people to a certain extent being rude and amongst other things as well. It's just you get sick of it once in a while. So at the same time, I went to school upstate, so that balance of country and city sort of evened out. So
yeah. Cool. So what got you started in creating an SRT Warriors page?
Well, I was back when I was a little kid. When I'm 23 now, but when I was around 7 or 5, I was obsessed with the Viper. In particular,
who isn't, right?
Yeah, I know. And at the same time, I was pretty much involved with a bunch of other games like Test Drive, Need for Speed, and all of them had the Viper in it. And I said to myself one day when I was a little kid, this has to be my car. So pretty much as the years went on, they made better models, and unfortunately they had like a short hiatus when the last model that they had was around 2009, I think.
Yeah.
And they stopped with that, and they continued on around 2013 again with the newer models. And I guess I don't know what happened, but other than that, I decided to create a community around this car and around the SRT brand because I was such a fanboy of it.
Well, that's what happens when you're passionate about something, right? It's a good outlet.
Yeah, of course. And especially with their mentality of making big motors. Like with the Viper itself, we're not talking about a small motor. We're talking about a 8.4 liter V10.
Yeah.
And with their smaller V8s, it's like a 6.4 to 6.5 liter.
Yep.
So I guess what attached me to the theme of the muscle car brand, Dodge in particular, was they're not giving a fuck with weight and just a huge power delivery band with the motors that they deliver.
Yeah.
So yeah, and with my SRT page, I decided to revolve my passion with the Dodge brand into this page.
Yep.
And with consistency, because I think I'm up to like 70,000 followers, but it didn't happen overnight, of course. Yeah. It was like 2 years in the making of consistency and sort of continuous posting, continuous branding, talking to people. And furthermore, as I get further into the page, I see, I'm planning on a bunch of other things as well.
Yeah. What have you done with it so far?
Well, I've created a team called Team Dysfunctional.
Where did that name come from?
Well, initially it started with I can't for mature audiences. I guess it's for another podcast or topic, but just I guess just the conversations that we had on the chat, and just
a group of generally dysfunctional people.
Yeah, pretty much. I think when I assembled the team, I didn't imagine how fluent and how I guess collaborative everyone would be together. Because at the same time, how I established it is essentially I was talking to SLT Speed at the time, B5 Scat and Billet Scat, and I think they were B5 and SLT Speed were the first two people, and I can't really remember, but yeah, it just formed into this long, I would say, brotherhood, because we sort of can consider ourselves as a brotherly love group chat.
Well,
I guess
I would say it's a group of brotherly. I mean, immature.
I'm probably gonna get shit for that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I don't know. It would be like 12-year-old immature, backyard hitting each other with a stick type love.
Yeah, like ball busting.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, I think I started the chat like a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And I think we have 10. I lost count, but but in the meantime, I'm not taking any more members. I don't plan to.
No.
No, because like when I started the team, I had 13,000 followers, and these people that I'm currently with on the team saw me grow and prosper, and it's not the sort of ordeal that like you can bring new people in, and it's just. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So I'm not taking any more people if anyone's listening and wondering if, can I join them? So the answer would be no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is one of those things where, they had your back, et cetera. And at the same time, with 70,000 followers, it can get pretty crazy, I'm sure, with your Instagram and people DMing you. And that'd probably be a lot to manage.
Yeah, I can't even keep track on the requested DMs of how many people want me to feature their car or this and that. I'm like, well, as a person, I essentially want to know you first. Like, right. Not give me your whole life story, but give me a background of the car and just etc. Because I'm just not going to post your car because you tell me to. It's just it has to be more than that, and I see it as a collaboration of networking, I guess, if you want to call it. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that kind of makes sense, because if you're just featuring random people's cars, you're going to end up like everybody else. And, there is a uniqueness. There's kind of an exclusivity of, hey, these are the cars that we feature. If you're fortunate enough to have a good backstory and why you did that, and you can build, you're not just putting crap out there. You're going to, have a backstory, put your car out there, and kind of push a message forward versus just kind of throwing garbage. Especially with, we talked about this in the last episode, how Instagram has changed a lot of their algorithms, and you need to have like really good, consistent material in order to keep that going. And especially at 70,000 plus, that's got to be really hard to maintain.
Yeah, and I, I think me and SLT Speed haven't really figured out how the algorithm works, or anyone on that chat,
Yeah.
because I think they change it like every day, because people eventually figure out, and I think as time goes on, it's going to be like a one-day algorithm process change, or something of that matter. But at the same time, Instagram is a business. They're owned by Facebook. They're publicly traded. They're liable to shareholders and investors and all that stuff. So to a certain extent, I think the IG algorithms are designed to incentivize you to promote and spend money, and unchain the portion in the algorithm that limits you to expose your content to the audience. So it's sort of like speculation and conspiracy, but it sort of makes sense from a business perspective of why Facebook would do that, of course. So
yeah, well, I guess does like somebody that has 70,000 followers, are they asking you, like actively asking you to promote posts and stuff?
yeah, they actually do once in a while. So I think it correlates with their updates and how they change the, I guess, platform of Instagram in terms of the layout and all that stuff on the app itself.
Yeah.
So I think there's a correlation between the updates that they do and implementing the algorithms, and see if the algorithms are implemented, who's willing to sort of pay up for promotions. That's the way I see it, based off a criteria of followers, activity, etc.
So you actually, in your Instagram app, have been like propositioned to promote your posts?
In what sense? What you in terms of your question, meaning like I spend money to promote, or
No, not at all. What I'm asking is, like, in your app, like if you go to post something, will it ask you if you want to, pay to promote that?
Yeah, sometimes, but at the same time, you sort of have to have a Facebook account.
Oh, okay.
Because Facebook and Instagram are connected to each other.
Yep.
And I just have a fake Facebook or whatever, because I don't use Facebook. I essentially don't use personal social media or whatever to my pleasures or whatever. And so yeah, I've got it a couple of times, but not as frequently. I think in general the algorithm understands that I'm not
You're not
willing
interested.
to pay up. Yeah, not interested. So,
Man, that's bizarre. So, like, I guess, would you say that, Facebook or Instagram is trying to get money from influencers? Like, that would be their business model.
I can see that.
Yeah. Man,
I can definitely see that, because to a certain extent, the platform is free to use. You don't pay a monthly bill to use the app. So they obviously need to monetize it somehow through advertising, through promotion deals with you exposing it to different audiences and whatever. And it has changed a lot. I remember, I think it was 4 to 5 years ago. It was way different.
Yeah.
And in terms of where you get your likes, activity, and all of that stuff, it was very wide open and not as secured as it is right now. It's a completely different ball game, and I think it's not going to, of course, remain constant, but it's going to change over the years and adapt to people's behavior.
Yeah. Man, that's kind of scary. Like, obviously it does need to change as people evolve, and they don't want to let people get bored of it. And I would say, like, kind of like Facebook, I think Facebook is boring. I never go on Facebook anymore. And I rarely post anything to Instagram. But I don't know, man. I think they're just like grasping at, the group of people that want to post stuff, but I mean, I don't know. I think they're just going to chase people away. I mean, the long and short of it is, like, if you keep changing stuff, sure, it keeps it new, it keeps it fresh, but you're going to push away the people that I feel like actually care. I don't know. I mean, if you look at some of the posts, let's use STL Speed as an example. I think he has like 20 something thousand followers. If you look at one of his posts, I mean, he'll post and the next day you'll see like, I think like 1,000 or 2,000 likes, or, a couple like 50 comments or something like that. And it could be like a really cool picture, but like, why did that get buried? Like, I don't know. It kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, I guess if you work for Facebook, then to a certain extent you would know. But I think in general we're going into a huge data era, if that makes sense, where artificial intelligence and AI are essentially going to take over the scope of consumer indexes and how people behave, and Facebook has an artificial intelligence division where they essentially collect data from people who are using the application, the course, and see what works and what doesn't, and the computer learns as time goes on. And
so it's like the dehumanization of social media. I mean, talk about conspiracy theories, but I mean, it's fine. We're obviously only speculating here, but man, that's deep. Because I mean, if they rely on the algorithm to make Instagram run more efficiently and pick the hot posts and kind of direct traffic, if you will, man, it's like letting Skynet take over.
Yeah, and I guess you can ask Cambridge that the big data firm or analysis firm,
Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Now we're really digging deep into some shit.
Yeah, where Mark Zuckerberg got asked to speak in front of Congress of why.
Right.
I forgot what he did with the big data, but he exposed it, or I have no idea. But
I just remember seeing those memes. The look on his face was priceless.
Yeah. Yeah, he was scared out of his mind, like, shit, I'm probably going to serve jail time, probably.
Well, I mean, he got out of there pretty clean, probably because he has so much data on everybody. It's like,
probably.
We'll trade some stuff.
Yeah, he probably has, like, the porn history of congressmen or stuff like that. Like, if you...
How do you know about internet? Like, what? How is that a question?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I forgot about the other. I think it was the CEO of Google, and the person who one of the congressmen was saying something about the application of Google and like the search engine and whatever, and he was using the wrong device and the wrong search engine.
Yeah.
So I forgot what it was, but that was pretty funny. It shows how some congressmen are inept about technology, and
Congress was confused by the internet during hearing with Sundar Pichai.
I think that's the CEO of Google.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that is hilarious. Let me look at this.
yeah,
Opportunity to question one of the most powerful people on the planet, the CEO of Google, the company that filters all the world's information, and they blew it.
Yeah, dude, it's like I don't know, because with AI and whatever, Elon Musk is very scared about it, because he sees the negative spiral of effects that it could probably do to society where it goes to the wrong hands. So,
Oh yeah. God, this is crazy. Well, I mean, I think it's crazier that our Congress people don't even know how the internet works.
yeah, it is scary.
We got people that are making policy decisions that don't understand anything about technology. And I mean, anything's an inflammatory word. They understand somewhat. Their email comes from, the magic land called the internet, but they don't know too much about it, it seems, which is scary as hell.
Of course. But I guess in other topics, in terms of your Corvette, right? Are you? I'm just speculating on the fact of what you're going to do next to it. Like, are you going to put a supercharger on it?
Oh, okay.
So
you want to talk about cars? All right. So we dug deep in the rabbit hole, and now we just hopped out of it. And of course, you go to the Corvette. Like, I don't get it, but God. I think what's the term of endearment we have for it? I think we called it the
silver dildo.
The dildo. That would be it. Yeah, I'm juggling a bunch of different ideas. It's got about 8,000 miles on it now, and I put 8,000 miles on it in probably 3.5, 4 months. And that's on top of, having the Durango as well. But, God, I don't know. It's been a good car. I'm not too mad about it. I beat on it a little bit. And if you buy it, I didn't beat on it whatsoever. I treated it very well. I mean, I do treat it well. But I don't know.
You plead the fifth.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got some options. I was talking to Jeremy from Santera, and it seems like I could build a 1,000 horsepower car for probably 25 grand, and that's more. And I talked about this a little bit with STL Speed. I don't know if the return's really there. It would be a money pit. So I don't know. I could get a supercharger offline, somebody's takeoff from a Z06, but I'm limited by the torque tube and then the rear end. I would probably, even transmission, maybe. I mean, I would probably only be able to put like 650 down, and then stuff's going to just start breaking. So, I think I need to buy horsepower instead of build it. So I probably will end up getting rid of the Corvette relatively soon. I was driving it today. It's a fun car to drive. I still, again, the Durango is the car. That's my main car. So I'm not going to say Miatas at all, because that'll piss off STL Speed.
You can say it if you want.
I mean, Miata's a great track car, and look, like I road race. So if I want to get a good road race car, a Miata would be where it's at, because I'm not going to break the bank. I could run it for an entire season.
Yep.
It's inexpensive brakes and tires.
Yep.
and I would actually get money back from the Corvette and be able to buy a Miata without question. Now, do I want a Viper? Yes, I want a Viper, but
That's good news.
I've always wanted a Viper. I mean, the car is disgusting.
In a good way, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, also like in a bad way. It's a super naughty car. But again, I would feel so bad, and this is why I won't buy a Porsche until I move out of Chicago or into the suburbs. You know, between potholes, road work, speed bumps, and just like general crap, I would be so afraid and ashamed to, scratch any part of the car driving around the city. I mean, the front end, I got an ACS front splitter for the Corvette for a little bit more front downforce, and I already have to get a new one, and it's been 4 months, 8,000 miles, because the city has just beat on it so bad. Like the fiberglass is delaminating, and the ACS piece itself is very awesome, like really structurally sound, really easy to install, but the abuse that thing's taken is amazing. Like I've done 70 miles an hour and heard the front end scrape on like a dip under an underpass. And I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's not fun, especially in New York City as well. We're sort of in the same environment in terms of concrete jungle, potholes everywhere, and that's probably one of the reasons as to why I wouldn't get a car like a low car like the
Viper
Corvette or Viper.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I got the Corvette was because I felt like I could abuse it a little bit more. Parts are a little bit cheaper, because I could have gotten a Porsche Cayman S, but then the parts are going to be more expensive to replace, the body panels and all that stuff. So, I mean, as funny as it is to make fun of me for it, it was more so I didn't destroy or bring another car into my life to destroy, because with the Durango I've got 28 or 29,000 miles on it, and the whole front end, I had it ceramic coated, and I take care of the car like really well, and it's in immaculate condition. But over that 29,000 miles, there was a bunch of rock chips on the front of it, and I didn't realize that. Getting a ceramic coating, it's great for the hydrophobic properties and protection, whatever. Yeah. But it's actually pretty hard, and I wouldn't say brittle, but there were so many rock chips all over the front end that I actually just ended up getting the car repainted. So,
oh geez,
yeah. So I got the car repainted with the same paint that they use on Porsches. So it's white knuckle white in Porsche's paint, manufacturer.
Which I assume is higher quality than what GM.
Well, whatever
Dodge puts out.
Dodge, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, oh man, looking at the quality of the manufacturing, I mean, it's a $75,000 SUV. Quality of the manufacturing is like on par with a SXT, and you'd think that they would care a little bit more. I mean, my hood's still like cocked, funny. I mentioned this in the last podcast. My front driver's side fog light went out like a year ago, and I just don't have time to go get it fixed. But there's a lot of little things, like my Uconnect screen freezes every once in a while. And, I totally could have just gone to a BMW dealership and bought a certified pre-owned, M series car for less. And if I went to that dealership, they would take care of it. But I feel like that's where Dodge is missing something, but I digress.
Yeah. And I guess to a certain extent, one of the advantages of I guess American cars and Japanese cars as well, is you can work on these cars. You can do your own oil changes. And one of my relatives, speaking of BMW, had an X3, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to change the battery." And I'm like, "Are you sure
luck.
about that?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's going to be a 1, 2, 3." It was 1, 2, 3, but he couldn't start the car after. And apparently you need to reprogram the whole system or the whole computer so it can register the new battery. Like stuff like that. Like they just want you to come in and spend more money, because they're probably, who knows how much profit
silly.
they're making from
Check
the car.
This out. No, I didn't throw it away. Here it is. All right, so this is my the guy that I know that painted my car. It's one of the best body shops in Chicago, if not the best. And that's who I had paint the car. It's crazy because they work on a lot of, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, etc. So just a lot of high-end cars. And he thought I was insane for wanting to repaint my car. He still did it for me. But on this sheet, it's all the stuff is insane. Like when they pulled the car in, there is a pre-repair scan. So they actually pull the files off the car before, and I assume that's because Ferrari, Porsche, etc. If you shut off the car, the battery drains or something. Like if you change anything in the car, it just goes into like shutdown mode, and it's nope, I'm not moving. I was repaired incorrectly, or so it thinks. But yeah, that's literally on here. Pre-repair scan, post-repair scan, and it says, it says that they uploaded stuff to it. And I mean, it wasn't tuned or anything. It was just the original file.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So in terms of the towing capabilities that are on your vehicle, have you tried to tow anything, or what's the deal with that?
Shamefully, I have not. I want to strap it to something. I mean, it can tow 8,700 pounds, so the car doesn't even weigh that much. I don't know how, but I could probably rip a tree stump out of the ground pretty easily.
You probably can, especially with a Ram, probably. But so it's the 6.4 liter V8, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's the 392. It's the same engine. They might have tweaked the tune a little bit because it is a 392. So I do believe that it's the same thing that's in like the Scat Pack and the other 392 cars, but the torque is different. So, and I think they made the torque different to be able to tow all that weight.
Right.
So, I mean, let's see what the Durango's torque is here.
I think it's around 470, right?
I think it's 470 or 475. SRT. It's 475 horsepower. That's what the stock numbers are. I've had an exhaust and an intake put on it, and a catch can. The amount of oil that you get through blow by is just amazing.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that.
It's silly.
So in terms of your two modifications that you've done with the exhaust and intake, do you see like significant improvement with I guess with the acceleration or horsepower, or?
I think it's either a trade-off where you get like more sound because it's basically straight piped from the cat's back. I have a GT Haas exhaust, so it's got valves, like remote control valves on it. Mm-hmm. And man, I can't even really say. I mean, it seems obviously more aggressive because it's loud. I would say I'm probably down on power because I essentially remove the stock air box, put in the cold air intake, and I think all that stuff has to be tuned to the car to be able to, benefit from those improvements, especially the exhaust. If I were to get headers, I'd probably get an exhaust, but then I have to deal with emissions and, cat deletes and stuff like that.
Yeah, all that yada yada.
Yes. All of the stuff that we, quote unquote care about.
Regulate.
Yeah.
So in terms of your future plans for that vehicle, do you plan to do anything else besides the exhaust, the intake, and whatever else you've done to the car?
The Durango being my pretty much my daily driver, I don't really foresee getting rid of that car. I think I'll wait until the warranty expires, probably supercharge it after the warranty expires. Leave it at about 650 horsepower, see how well that handles it. See if I can get another 4 or 5 years out of it. Since it was repainted, the body's in great shape. So I don't think I'm going to have rust as an issue. I wash it like daily when it's in salt in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I would really like to probably in the next 5 years see what comes out as far as like if they keep making the elephant motor, because what'll probably happen is I'll drive it, I'll enjoy it, and then I want to keep the car forever, but I would love to see it at 1,000 horsepower because it is the big white irony machine. So
Polar bear.
like it just comes out of nowhere. Like there was an STI. I was driving up to somewhere in Milwaukee. I think it was Milwaukee. And there was an STI screwing with me on the highway. And it was funny because I knew it was an automatic because he hit his speed limiter. And, and the Durango comes stock without a limiter on it. So I won't say how fast I may or may not have been going, but it seemed like he hit the wall and I was just gone.
Oh, jeez.
So if 5,000, 6,000 pound vehicle can beat a WRX STI that was obviously pretty tuned up, that's
they like
hilarious.
with those cars in general, the STI and WRX is the Subaru performance brand and whatever.
Yeah.
You can tune it up, but at the same time, the horsepower and the ratio between your weight and how much power you're putting out is not equivalent to what Dodge puts out. And in addition to their power and the modifications of what the owners do,
Mm-hmm.
like I think every time you tweak the motor or you do something like the exhaust, as simple as the exhaust, you need to reprogram the CPU.
Yep.
So that in general, I think the frequency of Subaru motors in terms of modifying the CPU for simple modifications is pretty crazy, but yeah, that's the way the company is, so they're not going to change. So
I know, and I wish it seemed like Diablo Sport kind of gave up on the SRT Durango.
Oh yeah,
I really really wish they. I haven't checked in a while, so I can't speak to it, but I just wish they would make a tune for my car.
yeah, that would actually be awesome, and I guess to a certain extent, much of the car market is diverging to SUV and compact crossovers and stuff like that. Like sedans, comparatively speaking to SUVs and crossovers, are no match.
No,
So,
not at all.
Yeah, and in general, the MPG that you would get from a sedan is almost equivalent to what you can get in an SUV and whatever, because the technology has progressed further enough where it's indifferent of what you pick in terms of MPG. It's all about preference at this point.
True. And I mean, if you're going to get a Durango SRT, you're going to get, 11 miles per gallon. So,
yeah, but if you put the pedal to the metal, I guess.
I mean, I've gotten 21 on the highway, but
is that on cruise control?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oops.
I bet. You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to incriminate yourself any further of who knows.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just it's just crazy how the car market is just evolving in general with like, for example, Ford is decommissioning majority. Well, they decommissioned most of their sedans, and I think majority of their car line. And I think so they have the Mustang, which I'm not a fan of personally, and the Ford F-150, and I think the Ford Edge or the Ford Escape or whatever, but that's very minimal in terms of what they had like 7 years ago. And
I mean, they're kind of leaning out, and maybe they see a market shift.
Well, I think they definitely do, and I think all car companies are seeing a shift as well. And they're trying to, of course, with any business, they try to nurture to the demand of what they see now and what they see in the future. And with much of the crossovers and much of the SUVs that are coming out with Lamborghini, Bentley, and like all these car manufacturers that used to make anything else but an SUV are now making them because they see a shift in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just that and the used car market as well has grown exponentially because of the reliability of vehicles. And I guess it's sort of like speculation, but to a certain extent, I wouldn't be surprised if I see a bunch of automotive manufacturers die down their lines even further, because it's much easier and it's much cheaper, of course, to get a used car than it is a new car. So,
I mean, you could probably see that in. So if you look at European car brands, they kind of steal parts from each other, as far as like, hey, we're going to use this. I mean, I guess the Supra is kind of a good example of that with Toyota and BMW. We're going to use this part, and it's all going to be the same because we can unify our assembly lines and our lots, as far as like die lots. And it's going to make us more money, and we can, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a cheap car by any means, but we can profit more.
Yeah, of course. And all in general, all car companies do that. And with, for example, Subaru and Saab, when they shared that station wagon or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And with Pontiac and Mitsubishi with their GT 3000.
Yeah.
Or it was probably another vehicle. But yeah, like a lot of car companies share parts and share everything else. I think besides their designs and their patents, unless if there's a royalty involved and other things. But I guess when it's a win-win situation where the manufacturing costs for the product itself can can go significantly lower comparatively to competing, then it's a win-win. So yeah, I sort of see that happening, or it is happening. So yeah.
I am checking the current value of my Durango.
Used?
Well, what I could get for it.
Kelly Blue Book?
Yeah, I'm on Kelly Blue Book. That's not a plug. I just want to see. It's been a while. I have all the stuff. White. I would say it's in excellent condition. Let's see.
It's funny because like those types of questions are subjective because everyone's definition of good condition and horrible condition is variant on one another. So it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at. Oh man, that kind of sucks. It is 47. Well, the trade-in value would be 47.
It's not that bad.
A private party says 51.95, 51,886. Level of effort seems very high, but I'm looking at a Vice White 2019. For 68.52. I mean, I would pay $10,000 to have a Vice White Durango, but I digress. I got to get offline, or else I'm gonna do something stupid here. So yeah, I love that Vice White. It looks like you could eat it.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good color. And I, of course, I assume that they offer it in the 3.6 to 5.7, 6.4, right?
I don't know. It's a special color. They might.
Huh.
I would hope not, but then again, after they put the fascia from the SRT on the SXT as a $2,500 option, I thought that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah. No, in general, when I'm driving on the highway, it's very hard to decipher what's SRT or SXT, because at the same time you have the Dodge emblem on the grill itself for the SXT some of the time, and you just get confused, and you can't tell if it's a SRT or a Dodge emblem.
Well, I mean, the MSRP on these cars is almost $70,000. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I think total value on mine, because when it came out, I think they were priced a lot higher. I think I paid 74 or something. So I didn't buy it because I didn't seek the car out. The car was seeking me out.
That's usually how it goes down.
And I was like, "Yep, let's go."
Yeah.
That was awesome, but oh well.
Yeah.
So what do you see for the future of the SRT Warriors page group? Are you happy with the status quo? Do you want it to evolve? Where are we going?
I guess in general, my ultimate goal, and I've told everyone on the chat, and especially Torred 707, that I want to get to 100K, and that's my goal. But at the same time, I don't look at myself as superior amongst other people who wrap around their human existence around an app, which is pretty sad. But in general, it's just a goal. And, if you message me and if you have 100 or even 50 followers, I won't think less of you, of course. So, but it was always a goal to have 100K, and also to furthermore monetize the page to give sort of give my idea of what automotive apparel should look like.
Yeah.
And I'm in the process of designing and sort of getting ideas, catching trends to see what works, what doesn't. It's trial and error at this point. I'm not expecting to be an overnight success like with everything else that.
No, you got to work at it.
Yeah, of course. Like they say, it takes 20 years to be an overnight success. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, the same thing with this podcast. Like, why are we doing it? Well, it's because we enjoy cars. It's not necessarily because we give a shit about who listens to it. I mean, it's not saying that we don't care about people that listen to it, but at the same time, it's, got to be consistent and build a community around it. So, yeah.
No, of course. And I think in general, it's very unique in nature to sort of talk to other people who have valid car experiences and valid experiences in general, because everyone has their own story, everyone has their own journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes life interesting, because if everyone was the same, then it would be boring.
No, totally. And I think, this is at least me, and you can give me your insight on it, but I think one of the things that I would like to do with this podcast would be, have people contact you and say, hey, I've got this car story I want to talk about. And I wouldn't say it's going to be like VinWiki, because I definitely like that idea. And I think what they're doing is really cool. But at the same time, like, I kind of want to hear like the common man story of, the time I almost got smashed by an engine block, or I wouldn't say we should really talk about doing stupid things on the highway, or in Mexico, etc. But it could be interesting. Especially to give a voice to the 100 follower person, or because their stories matter too.
No, of course. And like I tell other people that ask me, I in general, I don't like to mention my Instagram account to the sort of other people, because it just gives off the initial impression, I guess, of just, I know, being.
Yeah,
being
I feel the
douchebag.
same thing. Well, yeah, it's like, oh, you're a car guy. Okay. And it's this weird stigma, because in my day-to-day life, like, people know I like cars, and I race cars, etc. But it's not something I lead with. And so, going around and I'm dating and trying to talk to some of these girls, it's like, I'm not ashamed, but at the same time, I'm like hesitant to bring that up, where it's like, yeah, I really enjoy doing this. Oh, you're kind of a weirdo or something. But that's the odd part, right? Because like, it's so ubiquitous. Like, there's 70,000 people or 73,000 people that like SRT Warriors. So that's a lot of people. It's not a weird thing. Like, if it were a weird thing, you'd have no followers.
No, of course. But I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is like a number doesn't really define who you are as a person, and everyone in general has equal humane value, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Everybody's got different interests, and our interests seem to be centered around cars. So, it is what it is. So one of the things that I saw on your page was that in the month of September, you were going to give away all the proceeds from something.
Oh, yeah. So for September 11th, which unfortunately 3 3,000 people died on their day. God bless their souls. I've decided to do a charity run on September 11th, where any profits that are made on the shirt to essentially remember the people who died on that day will be donated to the 9/11 Memorial and Museum.
Oh, nice.
So far we got a couple sales on it. We have five people bought the t-shirts already, and we've raised so far $40 in profits.
Nice.
So yeah, I expect it to grow further and higher, of course. So
absolutely. Let's see, where is that shirt? It was a 9/11 shirt, right?
Yeah, it was. It showed the 3 Dodge Red Eye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah. Let's hope we get some more traction on that, so we can give that money away.
Of course.
Yeah, I really like this shirt. I would call it like the GTA shirt, but it's the abstract.
Oh, the GTA theme Dysfunctional Podcast. Yeah, and I don't know. I was just thinking of something different and something attractive for the cover.
Yeah.
And I was staring at my GTA 5 cover. I'm like, aha. So I just started, and I'm planning to transition that theme on. I have another theme that surrounds the SRT brand.
Yeah.
And I'm planning to isolate it even more to Hellcat, Viper, Scat Pack, and a bunch of other themes, Ram.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's going to be a fun journey in terms of designing and seeing what people like and seeing what people don't like. So
nice.
Yeah, it's a process. So we'll see where it goes, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was awesome talking to you today. Look forward to hearing more. I'm sure we'll have you on again. So I would like to thank you, and I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, for letting me talk to you, especially, and you're doing one hell of a job in terms of. No, I'm being serious, because with this podcast and whatever, the introduction and the ending, and your tone of voice and how you deliver questions and keep adding on to the conversation, I don't see this failing. You're one hell of a job. So
well, thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, take care, man. See ya.
All right, you too. Bye.
Right, bye. Well, that was it. Had a good talk there. Looking forward to more. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2. We're already on the 2nd episode. It's crazy. I'm probably talking to no one, maybe just myself, but that's okay. But for the few people that are listening, appreciate it. So, that being said, I will see you in episode 3. More to come. Looking for the next guy. We have some stuff lined up, just trying to figure out who would be a good fit, because we really want to get some interesting content. If you're listening to this and you want to be featured, let me know at polarbear_SRT, or you can hit up SRT Warriors himself. Great guest, just hilarious guy, obviously doing something right to have 70,000 followers. So thanks again. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.